I take this opportunity of congratulating ASPI Foundation for starting this very important tradition of recognizing the importance and the talent of the farmers of the country and becoming a very important channel for bringing about the transformation of our nation. Swami Vivekananda wanted that India should become great. Swami Vivekananda was not an astrologer, but he was a Yugadrishta, he was a visionary, and whatever he told has come true. During one of the visionary experiences, Swami Vivekananda said, India will become so great that its past glory will fade into insignificance. India will become so great that its past glory will fade into insignificance. भारत इतना महान बन जाएगा कि उसकी प्राचीन महिमा म्लान बन जाएगी. कितना भारत महान था. How great was India in every respect. In the respect of spirituality, of course, Indian spiritual culture, in respect of sculpture, architecture, agriculture, storytelling, music, science, technology, mathematics, geometry, algebra. Most of the researches that we find now have been credited in the name of Western scientists already were discovered long thousands of years back by our Indian scientists. Now gradually these things are coming to light. We had the scientists like Aryabhatta, Bhaskaracharya, who wrote with Siddhanta Shiromani book in 10th century where he wrote about the law of gravitation. Later on 17th century Newton discovered it, but in the 10th century our scientists had discovered it. India was great in every respect. Economically, it was so great that it was branded सोने की चिड़िया. सोने की चिड़िया कहलाता था. लोग आते थे बाहर से लूटने के लिए. इतने बड़े बड़े रत्न थे, कोहिनूर हीरे थे. ये भारत इतना महान था. India was so great. Swami Vivekananda said, India will become so great that past glory will fade into insignificance. इतना महान बनेगा कि ये प्राचीन महिमा भी म्लान हो जाएगी. We are waiting for that day. But we will have to work hard for that. Swami Vivekananda gave a clarion call when he came back after his historic tour from America, United States and the other European countries in 1897. And he gave this whole clarion call to the nation which was sleeping, where he said, Uttisthata, Jagrata, Prapya Varan Nibodhata, arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. And the whole country got awakened. 1,000 years of sleep. It was sleeping. It was a slave country. India became awakened. And all the great people of those times derived their inspiration from Swami Vivekananda. Mahatma Gandhi, Subhash Chandra Bose, Dr. Radhakrishnan, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Chakravarti Rajgopalacharya, Sri Aurobindo, all of them have told, we derived that great inspiration from the books of Swami Vivekananda. Mahatma Gandhi said, after reading the books of Swami Vivekananda, the love that I had for my country became 1,000-fold. Indeed, Swami Vivekananda was a humanist who loved the whole world. But he said, the whole world can be saved by only Indian spiritual culture. Unless India progresses, all the other countries will not be able to progress because they will not get the spiritual culture of India. And that is why he wanted India to develop, India to be developed, India to become great in every respect. I remember an incident. Swami Vivekananda was staying at Belumat, which is our headquarters. As you know, Ramakrishna Mission was started by Swami Vivekananda in 1897. We have 172 branch centers all over the world, 40 abroad, rest in India. And our headquarters in Belumat, by the side of the Ganges near Calcutta. Swami Vivekananda was staying at that time in Belumat. At that time, the editor of the periodical Hitwadi, Pandit Sakharam Ganesh Devuskar, came to meet him along with a gentleman from Punjab. He was a farmer. He was a farmer from Punjab. And when they came to Swami Vivekananda at the time, Punjab was undergoing a drought situation where people were starving. At that time, the agriculture was not so developed in Punjab as it is today. And Swami Vivekananda started about asking the situation there in Punjab and started discussion on how the agriculture input could be increased and how people could be fed. Likewise, about half an hour was spent, and then that Punjabi gentleman, the farmer, and Mr. Devaskar started leaving. Then Pandit Devaskar said, Swamiji, how unfortunate on our part. We had come to meet a monk. We should have discussed about God. We should have had some satsang. But we are so sorry that we discussed about all other matters excepting God. And then Swami Vivekananda said only one sentence which is so relevant today for our country. Swami Vivekananda said, as long as even a stray dog of my country is without food, my whole of religion is to feed that dog. That is my religion. Rest all is either irreligion or false religion. That is my religion. जब तक मेरे देश में एक कुत्ता भी भूखा है, जब तक मेरे देश में एक कुत्ता भी भूखा है, तब तक मेरा सारा धर्म उस कुत्ते को रोटी देने में है. मैं बाकी और कोई धर्म में नहीं मानता हूं. बाकी सब तो गलत धर्म है, झूठा धर्म है. ये स्वामी विवेकानंद के स्पिरिट. दैट वाज द स्पिरिट ऑफ स्वामी विवेकानंद. स्वामी विवेकानंद सेड, I do not believe in a religion which cannot wipe the tears of a widow or cannot feed a hungry mouth. I do not believe in that religion. मैं उस धर्म में विश्वास नहीं करता जो विधवा के आंसू को न पोंछ सके या गरीब के मुंह में एक रोटी का टुकड़ा ना दे सके. ऐसे धर्म में मैं विश्वास नहीं करता. Swami Vivekananda believed in that constructive religion. That is why so many people are now getting attracted to the message of Swami Vivekananda. Dr. Kalam, who is now, whom we are expecting any moment, Dr. Kalam has got a good association with Ramakrishna Mission. Once I was driving with him from Rajkot to Porbandar. We had invited him to inaugurate one of the 37 school buildings constructed in Porbandar. Total 81 school buildings we constructed as part of our earthquake rehabilitation project. All of them government schools. We handed back to government schools. And one of the schools was inaugurated by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam on 13th February 2002. And we were driving from Rajkot to Porbandar. Only two of us, nobody else. And so I got the opportunity. And then Swami, he started asking, Swamiji, please tell something from the incidents, some incidents from the life of Swami Vivekananda. I told so many incidents. Then I asked him, Dr. Kalam, why are you so eager to learn about Swami Vivekananda? Because I found he is such a great learner, even at this age. So much so that in the evening flight from Rajkot to Bombay, incidentally we were together. He was going back from Rajkot to Bombay on to Chennai, where he was the professor of Anna University, and I had to go to Bombay to catch a flight to Benares. So when he saw me the aircraft, like a small child, he said, it's so simple, you will find him, so simple. Swamiji, you are going by the same flight, I want to sit near you. And then he sat down. And this, Swamiji, in the morning you told so many nice things about Swami Vivekananda, please tell something more. Then I asked him, why are you so eager to learn about Swami Vivekananda? He gave a beautiful reply. Swamiji, I think Swami Vivekananda is the first saint who converted religion into practical spirituality. Practical spirituality. He did not believe only in religion, which believes only on dogmas and rituals and going to temples and putting big tilak here and then cutting the customers to size. No, he did not believe in that religion. He believed religion with spirituality and practice, practical religion. Because Swami Vivekananda said, so far you had heard the mantras. What are the mantras you heard? Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atithi Devo Bhava. And Swami Vivekananda said, I am giving you some additional mantras which are very important for the modern age. What are the mantras? Daridra Devo Bhava, Rogi Devo Bhava. Rogi Narayan ki seva karo, Daridra Narayan ki seva karo. Why? Because Vedanta says God is present in each and every human being, irrespective of caste, creed, color, religion, nationality. Inside every human being, there is the divine. Worship that divine. Who is that divine who is in the poor, who is deceased, Rogi Narayan ki seva karo, Daridra Narayan ki seva karo. That is the type of worship that is needed very much today. That is the message that is needed very much today. So we require this message of Swami Vivekananda more than ever, when Swami Vivekananda said, as long as millions of our people are living in ignorance and poverty, I hold every educated person a traitor. I hold every educated person a traitor who, having been educated at their expense, pays not the least heed to them. This is the very harsh word that Swamiji has used for an educated person. As long as millions of our people are living in ignorance and poverty, I hold every educated person a traitor who, having been educated at their expense, pays not the least heed to them. Because how they have been educated? These educated people, they have been educated because of the subsidy that is given by the government of India from taxpayers' money. These poor people are paying the tax, farmers are paying the tax. From that tax, these educated people are getting educated, and afterwards they don't look at the poor people. So Swami Vivekananda was very harsh on them. As long as millions of our people are living in ignorance and poverty, I hold every man a traitor who has been educated at their expense, pays not the least to them. But there is a beautiful sentence that Swami Vivekananda said that we ought to remember. Swami Vivekananda became a teacher of Maharaj of Mysore. Maharaj of Mysore was so much enamored with him that he became his disciple. And then he used to write to Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda, in one of the very inspiring letters, wrote to the Prince of Mysore, Maharaj of Mysore. He wrote, "My dear Prince, this life is short. The vanities of this world are transient. In this short life, they alone live who live for others. The rest are more dead than alive." In our country, there are so many dead people, but there are a few living people. There are few living people who live for others. They are making profit, they are enjoying, but they are not keeping the profit to themselves. They share with others, and they are practicing trusteeship management principle, which was advocated by Swami Vivekananda more than 100 years ago in 1894. That is being practiced, and that is SP Foundation. And that is why I have come here again. And that is why this SP Foundation, all the participants, whatever, whosoever they are, right from trustees up to the staff members, they are all running about here doing wonderful work. I have great respect for them because they are following the principle of trusteeship management, what Swami Vivekananda wanted. I would like to share with you that incident. I had already shared once, but maybe some of you were not present at that time. When Swami Vivekananda went in 1893 to participate in the World's Parliament of Religions in Chicago, as you know, Swami Vivekananda gave his historic speech on 11th September 1893. That was also 9/11. But we did not listen to the message of Swami Vivekananda of harmony of religions. That is why another 9/11 came in 2001 and the Twin Towers were broken. But Swami Vivekananda had warned at that time that if we do not start respecting all religions as equally true, we will have to pay a very heavy price. And that heavy price we have already paid, we are yet to pay. We will go on paying till we receive, till we accept the message of Swami Vivekananda of respecting all religions as equally true in the whole world. But anyway, when Swami Vivekananda went there to Chicago Parliament of Religions, at that time, and he stayed there for 4 more years for preaching the message of Vedanta, at that time, the richest person of the world was John D. Rockefeller, the emperor of petroleum industry. You know, at that time he was in great distress and he was contemplating suicide. One of his friends suggested, "Why don't you go and meet an Indian yogi who has come to my friend's place and you will get peace of mind?" Rockefeller, in his character style, said, "What? I have to go to a beggar for getting advice? You know, we are all beggars, you know. We are professional beggars. We live in charity, on donation. We don't have our own income." What? I to go to a beggar to get advice? I am not going to go. And he did not go. But one fine morning, suddenly, Rockefeller went to the place of residence of Swami Vivekananda. He called the bell. The butler opened the door. Swami Vivekananda went inside. But Rockefeller went inside. But Swami Vivekananda was not in his drawing room. So he went to the study room of Swami Vivekananda without being announced. But you know, Swami Vivekananda had great power of concentration. So he was so much absorbed, he did not notice Rockefeller coming. And then Rockefeller started knocking at the table. Then Swami Vivekananda looked up. Rockefeller said, I am Rockefeller. Swami Vivekananda asked, what do you want? Now Rockefeller was not prepared for this type of treatment. Rockefeller means the President of America would get up. And here is the beggar sitting in the chair and asking, what do you want? He became very much annoyed. He said, I don't want anything. Then Swami Vivekananda said, then why have you come? Now he had no reply because he had come without invitation. Then Swami Vivekananda said, my dear Rockefeller, I know why you have come. You have come here because you don't have peace of mind. And then Swami Vivekananda started narrating many incidents from the life of Rockefeller which no one else knew except Rockefeller. Then Rockefeller became very much excited. Who has told all this thing to you? How did you come to know? Swami Vivekananda smiled and said, do you think it is necessary that somebody should tell me? I can see through your mind as I can see through a glass almirah. Then Rockefeller was very much afraid. My God, he has come to know all my secrets. Then Swami Vivekananda says, my dear Rockefeller, I'll give you a piece of advice. Remember, you are not the owner of your wealth. You are only a custodian, a trustee of your wealth that has been given to you by God. Utilize this money for removing the sufferings of millions of people, and immediately you will get peace of mind. There is no other way by which you can get peace of mind. Now Rockefeller was not prepared to listen to anybody's advice. So, least of all from a monk. So he became very much angry and he left the room abruptly. As he had come, abruptly he left. After a few days, again he came. Similar fashion. Called the bell. Butler opened the door. He went inside. Swamiji was not in his drawing room. He went to his study room. Swamiji was fully absorbed in his study. Again he knocked at the table. Then Swamiji looked up and then he put a piece of paper on his table where he had made an announcement of a huge donation for a public cause. Then Rockefeller said, now you must thank me. I have followed your advice. Swamiji said, well, it is for you to thank me. Because by following my advice, you will get millions, you will get peace of mind, which cannot be purchased by millions of dollars in the market. Mental peace is not available in the market. You go to a medical store and ask for some antibiotics, you will get. You ask for tranquilizer, you will get. You cannot get a packet of peace of mind from any medical store in the whole world. Mental peace is not available because mental peace is an inside attitude, and that comes by serving others. Swami Vivekananda gave that message of trusteeship management. I am so happy that today Bill Gates is also following that message. When I came to know from one of the newspapers that one of the newspaper journalists asked the question to Bill Gates, asked the question, why you come? He said, I have come here because I have got the first visit. I am talking about the first visit when he came to Calcutta. But great respect towards Indian culture. How did you attain this respect? By reading the books of Swami Vivekananda. Have you read any book of Swami Vivekananda? He said, I don't go to bed without reading a few pages from the books of Swami Vivekananda. When I read this one, I couldn't believe. Why? Because my concept of Bill Gates was who believes in cutthroat competition. How could he have read the books of Swami Vivekananda? I didn't believe. But after some time, when I learned that he had made an announcement, at that time he was the richest person of the world with $60 billion. He said only $10 million he will keep for his children. Rest all he will give to charity. And really, in year 2000, he gave $30 billion, started Melinda Bill Gates Foundation, which has been during the last many years, they have been the greatest donors. Bill Gates has been the greatest donor of the whole world. Now I I can believe, yes, he must have read the books of Swami Vivekananda, must have derived the inspiration of trusteeship management from the books of Swami Vivekananda. But this is the message of trusteeship management that Swami Vivekananda gave to John D. Rockefeller. Now it is being practiced by Bill Gates. Now it is being practiced. Azim Premji was asked about his success mantra. He said the trusteeship management principle as propounded, as popularized by Mahatma Gandhi is very relevant. Though it was popularized by Mahatma Gandhi, but in the corporate sector, it was Swami Vivekananda who first made that application or made a starting in that. But whatever it is, it's very good that this trusteeship management principle is going to the industrialist. If we really want to bring about transformation of this country and make this India a developed country by 2020, that is the vision of Dr. Kalam. You know, he's written the book India 2020, Vision of the New Millennium, about which he is going to speak to us. We can become a developed country only if we have got that economic development. Unless until the millions of people, 22% people of our nation are still below poverty line, unless until they are fed, this India is not going to become great. Swamiji's dream will not be fulfilled. And three things are necessary for fulfilling this dream. Number one, we require scientists who will be able to bring about this transformation in the agriculture field. Well, we have made a lot of, we are now number one on remote sensing satellites. We are number one in IT industry, information technology industry. Already India is number one. In software industry, India is number one. We are fourth in space and technology. But howsoever progress we may make, maybe every person will have a mobile. Now gradually, so much of, I think ours is the fastest growing industry. But please reply my question. Can you eat mobile? Can you satisfy your hunger by mobile? No. Supposing Sharad Bhai says, no dinner afterwards, only take one mobile. With mobile you cannot fill up your stomach, for which you require agriculturist. And Swami Vivekananda says it is much more important for our nation, because Swami Vivekananda says our nation lives in the cottages, but alas, nobody has ever done for those people who live in the cottages. And ours is basically an agricultural economy. Even if we may make any amount of transformation in the field of industries, IT industry, what about the 1,000 million people? Who is going to feed them? You cannot feed them computers. You cannot give them mobiles to eat. Okay, we have produced so many mobiles, so many computers, eat. No. For that we require wheat. For that we require maize. For that we require cashew nuts. Just now today, somebody is going to receive prize for cashew nut production. We require food. With food only, we can satisfy our hunger. And ours is basically still revolving around agriculture economy. So agriculture transformation is a must, for which three things are necessary. Number one, we require scientists who will be able to bring about that transformation. Scientists like Dr. Swaminathan, who will be able to bring about this green revolution. But scientists is not enough. They may produce any amount of wheat and amount of rice and maize in the laboratory, but our farmers are lagging behind. This technology has to come to the place of farms. That is why ICAR started the scheme of Krishi Vigyan Kendra. And when they started in 1976 this scheme, they wanted the NGOs to be adopted. NGOs to adopt this scheme, and they came to Bihar. That time Ranchi was in Bihar, and our center Divyan was started already in 1969. Already were working like Krishi Vigyan Kendra, and they were amazed what we are thinking, what we are planning has already been materialized since 1969. So they requested us to take up the Krishi Vigyan Kendra. Later on, our Ranchi center was recognized as the best KVK in the whole country. This Krishi Vigyan Kendra is a must. We require hundreds of such Krishi Vigyan Kendras. So, and under ICAR there is a scheme called Lab to Land. In the laboratory we may produce any amount of production. We may have a very good productivity, but it has to come to the lab. From lab it has to come to the land, and for which these farmers who are really working hard to transform this technology into a reality by bringing the technology from lab to land. They are working hard and they are bringing about this transformation. I really congratulate them. We require such type of farmers, and these farmers need to be recognized. These farmers need to be appreciated. These scientists need to be appreciated. And we require third category. Where are the people who will appreciate these farmers? I know very few organizations who really appreciate the role of such farmers. Appreciation of engineers, doctors, scientists, many are doing. But appreciation of the farmers, and I must say, ASPI Foundation has done a pioneering work, and other organizations will now have to emulate this if we really want to bring about this transformation. By 2020, if we want to make India a developed country, let other organizations learn from ASPI and follow the principles of trusteeship management which was propounded by Swami Vivekananda, and let them, these industries, give the encouragement to the scientists and to the agriculturists and to the farmers, and then that will be that green revolution. Then India will become a transformed country. It will become a developed country, and Swami Vivekananda's dream will be fulfilled. I once again congratulate all the farmers who are going to get the awards today. I also congratulate once again ASPI Foundation for doing this noble work and for carrying out this prize giving award, and thus inspiring and encouraging the farmers of our country for the first time. And let other organizations, as I told you, will come forward, and they are showing the way, and they are following the principles of trusteeship management. I am thankful to the organizers for giving me the opportunity of meeting you all, and I sincerely hope that this great noble work will go on. I pray to the Lord that ASPI will grow from strength to strength as it has been growing. It will be a much more developed organization. ASPI Foundation will grow. ASPI industry will grow. Let there be more profit, and let that profit be shared. And once they get more profit, of course, we'll get more donation. But that is not the selfish interest for which I am praying. What I want, these farmers, they will get the benefit, and this benefit will strum down, and Swamiji's dream will be fulfilled, and will be very soon, much before 2020, we'll be living in a country, India, Mera Bharat Mahan, a developed country. Thank you all.